Hey guys, happy new moon in Gemini. Hope you guys are enjoying the Geminian energies and setting your intentions, communicating with others, and talking about goals, aspirations. Um, I've been enjoying this energy. I feel like my perspective has been opening up even more. I was looking forward to my lunar return, but I didn't really know what to expect. You can never really know what's going to happen. Like, oh, I'm going to get this shift in my perspective out of nowhere. And I would read about that, but when it actually happens, like, you don't know how it comes about. But I feel like I've had that. I feel like I've been awakening a little bit more to certain parts of myself that I misunderstood, looking into the psychology of things in a more clear and concise way. Perspective change. That's the main theme of it for me so far. But I've also heard from some that they don't like the energies of the new moon being in Gemini just because um, Gemini is so like all over the place, just so many things going on at once, and the mind is scattered, which yeah, that is true. I mean, that's kind of how I feel with my moon being in Gemini, that's for sure. But um, with Jupiter still being in the sign of Gemini, it kind of amplifies that more. So it can feel more restless and more anxiety. But yeah, I'm kind of used to that anyway. But I did set some intentions for myself, and I feel like there's been a lot of inner reflection as well, good inner reflection. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Uranus going over my moon. That will be interesting. Um, I read a little bit about how that could go, and honestly, I was kind of fearful of thinking like, oh, Uranus, it's crazy. It's going to bring all this like chaotic and scary stuff into my life, but actually it's not really about that. It's Uranus, if anything, it can liberate you from blocked emotions. Hold on one second though. I had to get the door really quick. But as I was saying, Uranus is known as the disruptor, yes, but the energies can also free you from blockages. And it does create more of a rebellious energy, that's for sure, but a rebellion that liberates. So I'm interested to see how that plays out or what that would feel like for me. I do already sense more of this inner need for freedom. I will say that. My desire to be more like adventurous is coming out more. My desire to just kind of experience the world and not being so kept in a box or kept inside is getting more and more ignited. Like the need to branch out, the need to explore and become more cultured and experienced, I guess. So I definitely feel that creeping up, and it does make you kind of restless. It does give you that restless, jittery feeling like, come on, let's go. I want to do this. I want to have experiences. I want to have fun. There's so many things to do in so little time. And that's kind of like the vibe that I've been really feeling more and more. And I think it's at 27 degrees right now in Taurus. Um, So it's almost there, and it's going to be moving into Gemini, I think in July. I can't remember exactly, but well, I could probably look it up really quick. I have it on my paper here. Oh, I only have till June. This only talks about June. It's in July, though, when it goes into Gemini. But Jupiter goes into Cancer on June 9th. Yeah. So my moon is at 2 degrees. Remember, it's on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. So as soon as it goes into the sign of Gemini, it's literally going to be on top of my moon. So I guess I'll find out pretty quick of how that pans out. I'm here for it, though. Saturn being in Aries right now, I wonder if you guys feel any difference at all. I feel a little difference in the energy, but it's subtle. If I could describe the feeling, I would say it's more when it went into Aries last Saturday. I did feel a lightened feeling, almost like a little bit of the heaviness is lifted a bit. That's what I've noticed. Very subtle, though. But yeah, I'm curious to know what everyone else has been feeling. Does anyone else feel the shifts in frequency like I do? Of course, it does depend on where you're at in your spiritual journey, and what you've been going through on a soul level, and then of course your chart and the placements that are being triggered. We do have a grand mutable cross coming up. So all of you who don't have as much fixed energy in your chart, but have a lot of mutable energy in your chart, be on the lookout for the full moon in Sagittarius, because that's when the grand mutable cross is going to be triggered. And you guys could most definitely feel something around that time or experience some things. That's going to be on June 11th, and I will put together a brief video kind of going over the full moon in Sagittarius, so we can look at all the different things that could come up and aspects happening. I do have a Sagittarius stellium in my 5th house. So I have a lot of stuff going on in my chart, you guys. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty insane. But I think everyone's chart is probably insane. I just haven't seen them. I've only seen my own. But even though I do have a lot of fixed energy in my chart, just based off of like my major placements being the sun and the rising, the midheaven, and the IC, which is the most sensitive point in one's chart, representing childhood and sensitive issues in life. That's where it's like difficult for me. But I also have a lot of mutable as well. Obviously, my moon in Gemini, it's a mutable sign. And then I have my Venus in Pisces, which is mutable, with my North Node and South Node placements in mutable signs. But Sagittarius, stellium, I have Uranus, Saturn, and Mars in Sagittarius in my 5th house. So a lot of, And not to mention, my Uranus in Sagittarius is at 29 degrees. So I have Uranus at 29 degrees, which is an anaretic degree. So it's quite potent. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to cover in this video, but I can't really think of anything right now. I'm just kind of chilling out. But it's getting hot. More and more heat happening over here, which is not fun. But that's what you get when you live in a desert. So unless I choose to move somewhere else one day, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Yeah. Another reason why it's good to just travel. If you can't move, then just do a whole bunch of traveling. And that's what I plan on doing. That's my plan. Yeah. Fun stuff. I can't believe that we're already halfway through. Almost, not yet, but we're very close to reaching the halfway point of the year. And I feel like it went by fairly quick. I don't know. I feel like it went by quite fast. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I feel that way. I sure feel that way. Now I'm deciding to shuffle the cards because maybe I can pull some cards of insight for my viewers. Maybe we can get some interesting messages in this random video. Oh my God. Of course, like the Three of Swords and the Ace of Cups just falls out. Okay. So collectively, I'm assuming that a lot of my viewers might be going through some heartache, maybe in a point of new beginnings, but still having remnants of the past that still kind of reside, maybe, for that to come out. I really want to get back into painting. I want to start painting again. I want to start making music again. I want to get all of that back again because I love creating music and I love to paint. It just takes a lot of time, you know? It definitely consumes a lot of time. But I was even thinking about maybe doing some videos where I'm just painting or, you know, doing some hobby, some creative thing that I love doing, and you guys can just watch me. So it's like an ASMR video, maybe. I don't know. That's something I've been thinking about. I've done it before, like years ago when I first started my channel. I've done stuff like that before. That must have been like 5 years ago now. It's been 5 years. Pretty crazy. 5 years. So much happened within just 5 years. So much change within just 5 years. So much of evolution, evolving in just 5 years. Just imagine 5 more years from now, like 10 years, a decade. That's some real stuff there. So, let's see if we can get anything from... I see the devil card flying out. Oh. Some vices that are, some patterns and vices that need to be what is it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Need to be dealt with or need to be healed. Haven't fully gone away yet. Four of Cups. Okay. A lot of releasing in the collective. That's for sure. I feel that. I feel that. Releasing negativity. What else? What else is going on? What other things can we get? Wow. So we have the Ace of Wands, Page of Cups, Two of Wands, and the Queen of Cups. Maybe some of you are waiting on someone to make an offer to you. Perhaps you have someone on your mind that you would like to offer a cup of emotion to, but you can't seem to make the decision as to whether you want to do that or not. Is it because of trust? Is it because of fear of trust or fear of rejection or fear of whether or not it's the right decision? Maybe that's what's going on right now. Or are you waiting for the page to upgrade to a knight? I've been working on my father wounds. A lot, kind of thinking about the past and why I have certain insecurities that still kind of haunt me to this day and kind of keep me small because I don't want to be small anymore, And I was watching this webinar. I forgot what the guy's channel is, the name of the channel is, but he's really good. And it's always so inspiring, but he also incorporates human design into his courses, into his videos, which I'm also really into. But he was talking about the 25th Saturn gate, which is the anaretic degree that was over the weekend in Pisces, right before Saturn went into Aries, is that the anaretic degree in Pisces, right? And that represents like the divine feminine with father wounds and really looking into how to heal those wounds. And very specific questions came up, like to ask ourselves, how do you find out these wounds? Well, what parts of you were you afraid to express, or were you afraid to, how did you have to keep yourself small to keep the peace, or were you did you have to learn how to be a people pleaser or a caretaker, or were you just silent because you didn't want to make anyone mad? So you were just known as the quiet one. And that's why you don't really speak up about things. It's because you were taught to not express yourself. You were taught that expressing was bad, and that all those kinds of things. So the things that we learned from childhood, how we coped, how we coped with not being, not getting what we needed emotionally, and all those different coping mechanisms, really. It's really interesting to kind of dissect all that because it's so relatable. I think it's relatable to a lot of people, even if they had both their parents. I think it's relatable to everybody in different ways. Maybe some are more than others, of course, but to a certain degree, it's like there's no way to have perfect parents, right? We're going to have some trauma from something. We're gonna learn some negative coping skills from imperfect parents that are also probably passing down their own childhood traumatic stuff, and just living unconsciously, not even aware that it has a negative effect by continuing that cycle. But there are major differences, though. Like, you can't compare that as the same type of wound to someone who never had a father, or someone who never had both parents, who had to grow up in a stranger's home, that was a foster kid. Like, I can't even fathom and imagine that. I can't fathom it, you know? Or like somebody who was abusive, like physically abusive or sexually abusive even. So, but it just really makes you think deeply on those things. And you can feel a sense of gratitude, recognizing how yours wasn't as bad as others that you've heard of or read about before, but also not disregarding the fact that you still suffered some things. You still have some issues that affect you to this day that need to be worked on. And it's not the end of the world. You can still work on those things and heal those things, but you have to focus on it and be conscious and aware of it. And so that's a big thing for me. And just sticking to it, trying to remind my Gemini moon to not forget, because that's another thing about people who have their moon in Gemini. So think about Gemini. It's like they're all over the place. They're the person that has like, what's that one saying? What's that one saying? 5 irons in the, I don't know what it's called. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's like where you have so many different things going on at once. And so because you have so many different things, you don't get any of them actually done, because you're just like working on all of them at the same time, but not, yeah. It's like ADHD basically, all right? It's ADHD, whatever that freaking term is. That's what it is, okay? When you have your moon in Gemini. But that's not an excuse. Of course, it's not an excuse. I'm just saying that the way that our emotions and our minds are wired, because emotions are tied to the mind. Your emotions are connected to your brain functions. I mean, you emote something, and that feeling goes up to your motherboard, the motherboard here, or whatever, the main cerebrum that is like the control tower of everything. And so it's going to send off sensors, and you're going to have a reaction that's going to go, well, I mean, I'm not saying leading with emotions only, but you'd have to learn how to not do that, which obviously, thank God, you know, if you know what you're doing, you won't be led by your emotions entirely. But some people are very emotional people, and sometimes it can have an effect on them. I forgot what I was getting at, but yeah, I'm a very logical person, you know. I'm a logical person, but I have to admit I'm very emotional, and that's something that I have come to accept about myself as well. There's a part of me like that wanted to suppress and get rid of the little girl that's inside of me, because I had to be tough, you know. And so that's like the father wound thing. They call it daddy issues, you know. If usually girls that have like daddy issues, they tend to be more masculine in nature. It's because they're trying to cover it up. They didn't have any masculine figure in their life to protect them, so they had to become aggressive and become the protector of themselves. But then that just created somebody who didn't know how to open their heart, and was just very fearful of ever letting anybody in, you know? So I really resonate with that a lot. But yeah, you know, like in the past, I used to be a lot more like um, tomboyish, I guess you could say. I mean, I've always been like a tomboy type, but I'm just talking about to a point where I would neglect my feelings. I didn't want to admit when I was hurt. I never wanted to, um, you know, actually be honest about my emotions and how I felt about something because I was, I didn't want to look weak. And so I just would tell myself, oh, you're being weak, you know, like grow up and don't let that get to you because that's dumb. So I kind of had that mentality. And also, you know, I wanted to be cool because you're so much cooler when you don't have emotions, you know? So, and you look like you're a lot stronger, but that's not true. So, because then you repress them and then they build up and they get worse and then they affect you inside and then you kind of die inside. And then it comes out when you least expect it and it's even more difficult to kind of trace your steps back on knowing what you really want in life. But it's a learning process. What the heck? Ah, the bug. Sorry. But yeah, um, I'm just learning to accept my femininity more, like authentically, because I can be like being a Leo rising. You know, we have the ability to put on a show. We're naturals at that. You know, we're meant to do that. Not I'm not trying to say that in like a gloating way. If anything, my Aquarius, my natal sun Aquarius hates that. And that's why there's always an inner battle inside of me because I'm constantly judging myself. Like, trust me, I get really annoyed by the whole Leo rising persona of myself. It's like, why are you being like a theatrical? You know what I mean? Like, I would literally do that. And I do that still kind of. I've lessened it a bit because I know that now it's not a good thing to do that because then that's just, you are hurting yourself more and not accepting. So, but what I'm trying to get at is that because like the Leo risings have this natural ability to be a performer, it's like you'll see a different person on camera, right? Like there's times where I'm like I seem really confident and I seem like I know what I'm doing and I'm like smooth talking and all that stuff. Then the next moment I'm kind of like anxiety, like awkward and not really knowing what to say or talk about, or I come off as timid. And I would say all of it is authentic of me, but it just depends on what mood I'm in, I guess. But the realness of me, like the deep down, is when I'm able to just talk and just be myself. I feel like I'm being myself right now. Actually, I know I'm being myself right now because I'm like also trying to fight back tears this whole time because I'm feeling emotional talking about this. But I don't even know if I'm going to put this video out. We'll see. But yeah, you're getting a different side of me and I'm trying to like just why does my body want to cry right now? I don't understand. I don't. maybe I'll share some more about it later, but I don't like crying. I'm okay, by the way. I don't want people to think I do not want to give the impression to anybody that I'm in need of help or anything. I'm just emotional. That's all. So, and it's scary for me to be real in front of the camera and to share like these things. So, from a vulnerable side. Yeah, it just feels like all my defenses are down, so it's scary. But I think I'm just going to leave it there. I don't want to go any farther. Um, but I figured I would share that with you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video, as random as it is. And just know that I'm working on being more brave of letting my inner self out. So, just, I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect individual. No one is, but it is scary for me to show my vulnerable side. And that is what I'm feeling right now.